Hey, man.
Gino,
How's it going?
it's going good.
Let me see if I can.
I didn't know if you were coming in.
Yeah, hold on. See if I can-
Are you going to put your background on?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to find one. Let's see. How do I do this? I have to load. Hmm.
Just go to load video.
Oh, I have to load video. Where do I?
Well, you go to lower left, you go to choose virtual background
Oh, lower left.
where it says stop video. There's a little icon, little thing.
Uh-huh.
Press that. It says choose virtual background.
Oh, okay, there it is. Yeah.
Click that. And then right underneath the picture, there's an X, a plus. It says plus video, add video.
Uh-huh. And then let's see here. Here.
There you go.
Yeah. How's that?
There you go.
All right.
So what did you think when you got it?
Yeah, nice. It was a nice surprise. I'm not sure how we're going to use it yet. I generally try to keep low key in talks and everything, and I use the background information because it's having a shared environment is a really good thing.
Low
But
key. You're low key. As if.
huh?
As
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
low key.
yeah. I try to stay behind the scenes, man.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Until you have a little chat. So did you download all 5 of them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
because there's another one. If you put the other one on that goes like this,
Yeah.
why don't you let me see them, cycle through them, put them in.
They're still in zip and everything, but
Oh, you
I
haven't
just have a
organized it.
couple. Yeah.
Okay, because I tried to make, because it's different, because that's what you have behind you is more for the beginning of a video because it's big. and then I've got ones where there are things at the top which are more for Zoom backgrounds.
Uh-huh. So how you doing, right, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
Thank you.
I've been playing. I've learned some new skills, and so I'm finding the relationship between the interface, the maps I've been doing, and video editing.
Yeah,
And
wait, no, but how's that guy, that the young guy that was not doing so well?
I don't know.
Oh, you just you haven't reached out to him, or you haven't?
Well, he hasn't like it's non-communication right now. The last I had put him in touch with Clint, who said he needed some videos, and we sort of made an agreement to perhaps look at Jordan getting a laptop because he's missing a laptop. And so I was sort of, Clint had agreed to that. And then I'm not sure where that is because neither of them communicate well.
So, and then how are you doing? You're I guess you're in creative mode, it seems.
Oh yeah, I'm focused. I mean, I don't even know what to do with the creativity. I mean, everywhere I point, it just. But this is huge for me because it's like I'm just seeing how to make the gateways to a game, and that the virtual reality. You know, we're taking empty space and we're programming it. And so for me, it's like, what tools do you use at which layer? And the interface is the key to everything. The interface is the key to everything. And whether it's in software, whether it's in a game, whether it's in a movie. See, I think software, movie, and game, they're going to come together. And there's going to be multiple plot lines, and there's going to be multiple stories. And I think what William has, and the reason we're talking is because we're both put in the kitchen together. And then here we are. We're in the kitchen together, and we both have a portal to a whole other world. And you've got 5 portals. I've got 5 portals. I understand your 5 portals because I have 5 portals, 5 massive projects that each one is a life work, but they all interconnect together. And then they connect to you, and yours connect to mine. So here it's like I'm looking at a course, Design Your Ideal Future. Let's say you're talking from a Metatron project. That gives us context. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I switch it, say, let's say here, right?
Oh, yeah.
So let's say I switch to here.
That's really nice. Hey, yeah, I should hold on.
I want to get that. Or this one, right?
Oops. Hold on. Yeah. Nice. Oh, I didn't know that's how you use them. So you
With
use
this
them
one.
to lay. So what you're saying, oh, I should make a folder. Hold on. Let me make a folder. I
Look
didn't
at
know how to
this.
use it. So you basically are saying create it. Wait, hold on.
I'm saying, I mean, I just think you're in so many meetings, you got these big projects. These things are going to distinguish your conversational context.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah, no, that's how you're seeing it as a background usage of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you're always sitting there on their couch and it's just like,
I
come
know.
on, man, get some more
Always on the
aesthetics.
couch. Hold on, let me try this. Okay, so I'm supposed to use them as hold on, let me create.
Well, even look at this. I mean, for you, like it's just humans need a little bit of the aesthetics, and you're talking about the relationship between the spiritual and the material world.
Yeah.
Look at that. These are
So it's basically providing context for the conversations. That's what you're. Yeah. Okay. Great. Just like the things that you've got. Hold on. Yeah. Put all of these in here.
I mean, this one is kind of like my biggie. This is going to be my biggie one. The 5 communication spaces. And that's like, this is now using a model as opposed to a project. But I think that all of us need this, because when we show up in a Zoom meeting, no one knows who, like if you have 5 entrepreneurs, you have 5 artists, like who is everybody and how do you distinguish them? And, you know, we need to be able to frame who we are.
Yeah. Hold on. Which one is this one? Hold on. Let me see. Choose virtual background. Yeah, good thing I bumped into you.
I was wondering when you're going to get back to me. I mean, how often do people send you shit like this?
Yeah, I know. Fusukoi. Which one was the Fusukoi one? Main title. This one?
There you go.
This is. Oh yeah.
You see, there's two. There's video beginnings. This is like, that would be used for beginning of a video.
Okay.
And then you got another one where it's up top, or a few of them. I gave you 2 or 3. I think
this one.
There you go.
Yeah, all right.
Hey.
Yeah.
Now you're gonna jump into new meetings, and it's a different Gino.
Right. Great. Okay. So yeah. Oh, that's why you have the name on there too.
Yeah.
So you can tell who. Wait, where's my name one?
Well, I only put your name on the first one, on the Metatron project. I can add, you know, I can add whatever you want.
Okay. That's okay. That's okay. I've got.
But I think they know you're Gino by now.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like you're in good spirits.
Well,
how are finances? Finances are okay.
Well, no, just like finances are okay. That's just a funny thing to talk about.
Well, I just usually it's for most people, it's finances and relationships, right?
Yeah, well, I put creativity first. I mean, you got a salary. I don't. No one pays me to do my work.
No, but all of these have the potential for revenue generation and everything, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if people understood the concept of exchange.
Yeah. So
right.
But just in terms of I guess context, everything. I guess you're what are you up to these days? How have you been?
Well, I mean, I'm always working. I'm always focused on getting the next thing done, kind of thing. I mean, it's, I'm tracking the Canadian truckers convoy quite closely. Canada, they're taking people's bank accounts in Canada. They're just going right into the GoFundMe and then freezing the accounts. Like, that's like, we're on the brink of complete insanity. Like, that's the worst thing that could happen, right? I mean, the governments are arbitrarily choosing to freeze bank accounts of people that are lawfully protesting.
Here's let me throw this at you just from a containers perspective for language, which is let me run my language stuff by you.
Okay.
So first of all, from the perspective of your awareness and from the perspective of every cell in your body, all there is to everything in the universe at any one moment, and this is a Fusukoi type talk, is just what's physically around you. There's how your body feels, and there's what you know from thought. Right. And so, for example, you seem to be wearing a brown cloak right now.
You're doing your conversational kung fu on me again. Is
No,
this
no, no,
pattern or is this
no.
presence?
No, I'm starting with this because I want to get into the use of language.
Okay.
Because this is a container thing.
Okay.
So, and I'm just trying to distinguish this mental space versus whether you're hungry, thirsty, or have to go to the bathroom versus what's in the moment. And so right now, from my perspective, you seem to be wearing some glasses. You seem to be wearing like a gray hoodie, and you seem to have like a brown cloak on as well too, right? And it just said new paradigm toolkit on the screen and everything. It says Fusukoi above me. And so there's this. So now when we talk about language, so when we talk about language, all language does is it directs awareness. Okay, so if I say, and there are 4 ways in which I can use language. Number 1 is the meta. I can use language to talk about the use of language, which is what I'm doing right now, which is the meta. Number 2 is I can ask you a question or I can share a story that will direct your awareness to this mental space. Number 3 is I can ask you how you feel about something. How do you feel about your friend that's, how do you feel about the truckers? How do you feel about Trudeau? So I can ask you how you feel, which will direct your awareness to the somatic. And then number 4 is I can direct your awareness to something that's here. So it looks like you're looking up right now. It looks like the top thing in the 5 pentagon thing, it says card sets. Okay, now it seems like discovery instructional. Well, wonderful. So you've got the right background for this, the kind of conversation that we're having. And so now I see discovery instruction. So I can point to something where we have a shared experience. Now, if I say to your right, there seems to be a thing called discovery value lens, to your left, or to your right, to your right, to your right. Yeah, exactly. It says discovery value lens. If I say that there's a green circle that says discovery value lens, there's no conflict, right? If I ask you how you feel about the truckers or the government in Canada, there's no conflict. The only time there's going to be a conflict is when you're pointing to things in this mental space.
Well, there could be conflict if last week you took too many slices of pizza at the pizza and you pissed me off, and so I'm irritated. I come into the conversation and now I have a hidden agenda.
Well, you have a hidden agenda, but that's within you. But that's because of the way that you framed things in this mental space. But if you look at the use of words, if I say, because all I'm doing with words is I'm directing awareness. I can direct your awareness to this mental space, which is where this conversation is happening. I can direct your awareness to the somatic. How do you feel about the truckers? How do you feel about COVID? How do you feel about money? I can direct your awareness to something that's here. So now the blue circle says instructional. Now, if I say the blue circle says instructional, there's no conflicts. There's no argument, right? Because I'm pointing to something where we have a common semantic reference. If I ask you how you feel about something, there's not going to be a conflict because you're entitled to feel any way you feel about something, right? For me to say, oh, you shouldn't feel guilty or you shouldn't feel happy or you shouldn't feel sad is like me imposing my value system on your feelings.
Well, unless I said, I feel shitty because you haven't called in so long and I'm hurt because you're not connecting to me. And now
you feel hurt, and so all of this, so we can use language and all this, but there is a use of language, but you're entitled to feel how you feel.
Okay. Some people, they don't like it. Okay.
Yeah. And then the third is this mental space. And the only time there's going to be a conflict is when there's a difference in this mental space.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. Now, who you are. So that's one thing of how we use language. The other is who you are. And there are 3 levels of this. Number 1, the lowest level of this is who you truly are, Elijah. is who you truly are. From an Eastern philosophy perspective, who you truly are is the thing that's aware of all of this. And this is the Zhuangzi, am I a butterfly dreaming I'm a man, or am I a man dreaming I'm a butterfly? And so who you are, and after you die, Elijah, from an experiential knowing perspective, me, Canada, this whole universe disappears. And so who you truly are at the lowest level is the awareness of this. At the second level, all there is what's physically around us that we can really talk about, something that we have a shared experience. And so all I can really talk about right now is what you're wearing, your background, my background. This is all there is. If we were in the same physical room, it would be the physical space that we were in together. And so I can use language to point at things here, but the idea is not to point to anything here. We can point to how you feel, and we can talk about where we have a shared experience, where we have a common semantic reference. So we're pointing to things where we have a common semantic reference, but there's no, right now in this perspective, the United States doesn't exist, Le Ciel doesn't exist, Peter Giblin doesn't exist, the truckers, Trump, all this stuff, the Olympics, Ukraine, all of this stuff is all this mental stuff. But what really is here is just our collective experience of this moment, the shared experience of the moment.
Okay.
And then the third level is, okay, there is a material reality, and Peter does exist, and the UK does exist, and Ukraine exists, and Putin exists, and the Olympics are over, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? And so the whole thing is that if we can't agree on anything here, we come to this. And if we can't agree on, and then usually what happens is when you get wizards together, where you have different people with different phenomenological experiences, if you then bring each other into deep stillness, do you hear that?
Yeah.
Things will just show up naturally. So then metaphysically, how and why do things happen as they do then becomes quite interesting.
And that's the lead into
Well, the whole point behind this is, how do we do nonviolent communication when you have different people with different gifts and different subjective experiences? So some people see auras, some people hear voices, some people see entities. And you may see, I deal with people all the time that hear aura, hear voices, entities, and I can't see them, but they can see them. And I don't want to discredit their reality. Right. And so how do we then have this communication and have something meaningful happen? And so if I say, oh, this is hard to see here, but if I say there's a pillow here, if I say there's a pillow, I don't know, I'm just getting you to see it.
Yeah, I got the pillow.
Yeah, I know. But if I say there's a pillow here, then here, let me go back to this. Sorry about this. But if I say there's a pillow here, then there's no conflict, right?
Right.
And so, but, if they say the Archangel Michael speaking through me right now, I'm like, okay, well, let's talk. Hello, Archangel Michael, and then we can have a meaningful conversation about that. And so the thing about that is then to hold space and see what can we point to where we have a shared experience. Like some people, okay, now your aura is blue, or now your aura is red, or something like that. Okay, let's allow this, and not say, no, you're crazy, I don't see that, what are you talking about, you're crazy. It's allowing all of this, but then providing some way in which we can still engage and allow each different person to have their different perspective. So you have different genetics from me and a different autobiographical history. You're allowed to have your worldview, and your worldview is allowed to be completely different from my worldview. I'm allowed to have a completely different worldview than you. It's not your job to change my worldview. It's not my job to change your worldview. So given that, how are we using language, and where are we going from this?
Very nice.
Is this making sense?
Well, you say the same thing each time we talk.
Okay, but it's the idea here is to create this container that allows people to agree upon and understand. And then related to this, let me just share this slide. Because what I'm doing right now, and this is something I'd love to get your help with, and I can pay you for this.
Ah,
I can pay you 15,000 Hong Kong dollars.
what's that? 25 bucks?
No, it's about 2,000, a little under 2,000 US.
Okay.
Right here. Let me just show you this. So here. So this explains the totality of reality right now. Oops. Oh, can you give me a screen sharing?
Yeah, just give a sec. Okay.
So right now, normally I do this if we were in person. But right now, on the right, my right, there are two vectors. One is your kind of awareness traveling through space and time. I'm awareness traveling through space and time. And right now, in this moment, we intersect.
Yes.
Right. And in this intersection, there's the black M on one side and the other black M on the other side. I'm one of the black M's. You're the other black M.
Yes.
The white arrow is me speaking. The other white arrow is you speaking.
Yes.
There's the bing that happened and the surroundings that are impinging upon us. And then there's this mental space, and there's an overlap of there's your mental space and my mental space and the overlap. And
Yes.
this explains everything in the totality of reality right now between you and I.
Okay.
That's the container of engagement.
Okay. So the context of the conversation.
Yeah, that's, and so what are we talking about? And so when we're directing awareness here, so I can use language to talk about the use of language. I can share a story or ask a question, which will direct your awareness to mental. I can ask you how you feel, which direct your awareness to the somatic. And then I can reference something that's in the space. Those are the only uses of language.
That's it.
Yeah. Most of the time for you, you're in this mental space. Now, the point behind this is that if you've got a worldview and I've got a worldview, what I can do is I can ask you questions, and then I can understand what are the symbols that are in your field that are taking up your CPU cycles. Lately it's been the truckers, Canada, and all of these things. So I'm listening to your symbols, and those symbols are going to map to emotions that regulate your affect at the moment. And creativity is important and all these other things. So I'm listening to your memes. What are the symbols? What are the stories here that tie into your feeling? And then usually what I do is I ask questions, and usually it's going to relate to career, money, and or love life. And those are the deep things. And then if you feel guarded, I'll just share a story which will make you feel comfortable to create the safe space.
Yeah, but wait a sec, you're missing something.
Okay.
You're missing a big piece.
Okay.
Because I find that in our conversations, you immediately came in and did the instruction, took over the conversation, and started doing a download.
Yeah.
Right? And this is a pattern of yours, I see.
Yeah.
That doesn't actually really create much rapport.
Yeah, mainly because it's 1 a.m. right now
Okay.
here in Hong Kong. I should be sleeping. And
no,
I'm
I know,
just
but this is a pattern I've seen in you no matter what time.
Okay.
Like, I don't feel an actual connection with you in terms of, let's say, maybe heart to heart, because you come in, grab the conversation, then take over and then go. And that's a pattern of control and power.
Okay.
I'm not really going to share how I feel about my finances or how I feel about life. No, just hear me.
Okay.
I'm not, like, personally, I track people's conversations. I track whether they're pattern or presence. I track how much they pay attention to what I say, where I'm at, or even if they have any ability to find out truly how I am. Just by asking those questions doesn't mean I'm going to tell you something.
Well, hear me out. I'm project oriented. So in the beginning of our conversation, I kind of asked the things that I felt were important to you, and I heard them when I repeated them. So our last conversation.
No, but that does not create report. You're saying something that doesn't exist. You're pointing to something as evidence that is not evidence of it.
Like last time, our conversations, you were dealing with your friend.
You can go through the content, but it's not going to explain truly my level of connection with you and how I feel you are as a communicator. I mean, there's a huge thing that happened with us that we have never dealt with. And that was, I had given you my card set and you had got a team in Hong Kong together and you guys were horrible communicators. You guys were horrible. And you had no idea of how I felt, what was going on with me. And you didn't even try to find out. And neither did your team. And you guys are actually trying to do business. I gave you my prototype, my intellectual property with no agreements, complete trust to a team that stopped communicating with me as soon as they figured out they didn't even want to do it, but they didn't communicate with me. And that's massive in terms of, you know me, I've been working 25 years on this. I'm waiting for some people who can actually pay attention long enough to even listen to what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And right now, what happened with that is I had students that they were looking for a project and it seemed like a good fit, but then they flaked.
Yeah, but you as the project manager who connected them to me, there was no real communication from you to me or them to me. You're the mentor of them as a business team. If I was an actual entrepreneur, I would have told them to fuck off very quickly because they were poor communicators. Poor, and you're the teacher of communication, but I'm the guy who's actually created a communication system and can track communication better than most people probably you know. Uh-huh.
On the other hand, I'm probably one of the best people that know how to deal with spiritual emergencies. I spent a lot of time with you to help your friend who's going through horrible crisis. You think you've got it bad.
Your
friend's got it a lot worse.
Time. You did not spend a lot of time. You spent once. You can't talk about a lot of time
from
for you,
well,
but for the need of the moment, it might have needed a lot more. So to use that as an example is ridiculous.
So I don't feel appreciated or valued. My time.
Right now. By me or in general?
Well, I mean, if you want to throw this in this way, if you want to look at, flipping things around, I've spent a lot of time working with, every time we have a conversation, it's about how do we bring this to market?
Yeah, but Gino, you're in 1,000 conversations. You're in so many different groups and people and things. Yes. What you think is a lot of time is very different to me. Very different.
Right. So we have
I've got a body
worldviews. So
I've got a body of no, but wait, I've got a body of work, 25 years of work. Right?
Me too.
Right.
50.
Right. But we're in such different situations. You're right. A 10-year professor in a university.
I'm retiring.
But I have lived such a different life than you in terms of access to resources.
Right. Because of the choices we've made.
I'm just saying that the person who makes the breakthrough, the person who invents something is someone who committed their entire focus for a huge amount of time outside of the world, not inside the world.
Yeah. That was a PhD that I did when I was 25.
Still within a structure.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In a structure. I'm come from unstructured.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing structure.
Different structure.
Completely different.
Me too.
But there's nothing like it on the planet.
Well, if you look at what we're talking about in terms of language and communication, me too.
I'm not saying you're not. I'm just bringing to your attention a disconnect in terms of our communication. That's it.
Right. And I'm hearing it, and I'm also throwing this back at you in terms of the disconnection.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that everything that I've done has been towards helping you along.
Yes. That is your intention.
Yes.
But
Why would I, without any agreement or anything at all, allocate resources, students, get people, spend time, try to get this thing together?
no, but
And
you're
so,
missing something here. I mean, you're right. I mean, we're both right in a sense.
both
Okay.
right. Exactly.
And we
Exactly.
both may feel underappreciated for what we've done or who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And
mean,
then for me, and you have to look at initially, you had me jump through your hoops, right? You were like, hey, buy Nova a computer, buy Graham a computer, and buy me a computer, or else we can't do anything.
I was testing
Remember
you
that?
to see if there is
I
actually.
know. Why are you testing me?
Because you had said that you're creating a network that connected entrepreneurs who have needs to entrepreneurs who have already made it. That's what you
Right.
said that you were building. I was an example of the people who
and
needed.
basically, and the way we do things with this is, it's right now, I'm again, from a framing perspective, I'm just sitting in my music. Oh, you can't see, but I'm just sitting in my music room here. I'm just sitting in my music room here. And you're in Canada somewhere, so I'm just in my music room here. There's my experience of this. And whether something happens or not relates to us and our relationship with this. And so the normal training I put people through is to provide this language and this grammar of really looking at the metaphysical, like the ding that happened earlier. And so just really looking at how things show up. And so even with that test, I'm like, who's this, that's testing this? Even with that, I'm looking at ways in which we can engage, which is how I brought you and Dharmendra into, there was, what's her name? Denise. Great, thanks. So there was Denise. And this, I can feel this as well too. And so there's Denise and everything, and the discussions there, which kind of brought us in and everything. Would love to help Denise. The things that she was organizing before was amazing, but she wants like 10 grand a month, to do her thing properly.
I made her an interface for her thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful work. I mean, this is great stuff that you do, and I'm very appreciative, which is why I'm also supportive and trying to support you in my way with my gifts and the resources that I have here, which is how I made that introduction. Thinking that it could be a win-win. The students wanted to do something. They're looking for something.
Gino, you are a master networker, and everything you have done has been with the highest intention, and it has helped me. If I point out things where something went off, it isn't saying that everything you're doing is off. That's it.
Yes, but Elijah, look at how you came at me though.
Well, there's an energy.
Right.
I admit there's an energy, and the reason I brought it up was because, in terms of communication,
Yeah.
in terms of both of us wanting to participate, in terms of
Yeah.
both of us wanting to be honest, right?
Yeah.
If I'm with someone who's always controlling conversation and I never really get to say something, that's just unconscious communication, right? I mean, we're actually talking about it now. We're getting through it. I'm not
Right.
holding it as a grudge. I'm just bringing something up, just like you can bring up something that I do that you don't like, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to be perfect. We're going to do things. We're from different worldviews, different countries, different worlds. We're going to do things that are going to piss the other person off at some point, right?
Well, so my point of the container thing that I just spent time explaining to you was looking at how we use language.
I wish William was in this discussion. I wish William was in this discussion.
You mean Graham?
Yeah.
Or who? Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, for me, he's what brought us together. Right. I met you through him.
I introduced, well, his girlfriend he met through,
I'm sure you've introduced probably half the world to each other.
well, so very grateful.
I mean, the thing is, there's a lot that can be shared from us. I mean, are we going to be using hand signals for when we, is that what?
No, I'm just
Are you doing that to monitor?
Can I be me? Can I be me?
You can, but I'm just wondering if you're asking to talk or it's just to some sort of some symbolic thing you're doing.
Just some symbolic thing.
Okay. It's just, I mean, if someone's going like this at you as you're talking or whatever, no one does that.
No one else does that
No one I know does that.
other than me.
Yeah.
Because you know.
Yeah.
So the challenge is, how are we using language
And our hands.
And our dress.
And our dress.
Is this
And
supposed to be an
things.
Obi-Wan thing or in the backgrounds? Exactly.
Hey man. Don't you like cloaks? Hey, do you know what you do? Switch your background to another one of the projects and speak from that context. Because I think what you're doing is perfectly explaining the use of this framing.
Yeah, no, I mean, what you're doing, the backgrounds that you have right now are great for this as well too. And this should be commercialized.
Perfect. I mean, totally.
But the question though, right now, so for me, my issue is that I'm very busy with all these things that I'm doing. You're very busy with your things. Who's going to bring these things to market?
Teams.
Yeah, but where are the teams coming from?
Well, that's the thing. Maybe we got to create some teams.
Well, and then how do we create the teams? Tell you what.
What's that?
I teach a class. Oh shoot, it's late your time though. Is it late? It's yeah, it's late. It's 2:30 to 5:30 on Fridays.
In the morning?
2:30 to 5:30 p.m. So that would be shit. Your time, it would be maybe 11:30 to 2:30 a.m. Your time.
Okay. I might be able to do that.
But I teach an entrepreneurship class and the students are looking for projects.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. And it might be good for you to do a presentation of this system,
Yeah.
with the backgrounds and everything, with a set, and then look at how they could bring it to market, commercialize it, or even.
Well, what's the deal on that? Like, what's the percentages or how does that stuff work in terms of,
Right now it's just students, but it's one of those things where, let's see, again, so you have to know these really well to be able to bring them in, right?
Yeah.
And so there's some training that's involved with this.
Yeah, definitely. And card sets, right?
Yeah, and the card sets are training for this, exactly. So
how many students you got?
well, right now, hold on. Are we done with the clearing?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so you feel like I'm not just dominating the conversation?
No.
Okay.
No. We're in a two-way now.
So where I was getting at before was a different design project where I can actually pay you,
Right.
which is taking the things that I was showing you and then turning them into a system.
Okay. Taking what, the language, like the maps you just showed me?
Yeah, the use of language and everything. And I want to turn it into an educational system. So if I can right now come back to this, So this is the use. So again, it's the same issue. How do we use language? We can use language to talk about the use of language. We can share a story. Okay, we can direct a feeling, how you feel about something. And so this is the framing of things, right? And the thing I just shared with you initially was the 3 levels. So the level 3 is the underlying awareness. Level 2 is the immediate environment. Level 1 is consensus, reality, and story. And these could be other lenses around. In fact, we could color code them to be backgrounds of how are we communicating in the system that you have. This is like a whole nother dimension.
Yeah.
Now, the use of language here. So there's a use of language here. This is the framing of things. And so when I use language, what I can do is I can add knowledge in terms of use of language. I can query, what do you think of Peter, and, what Liciel, and how do you feel about Liciel, et cetera. So reinforce knowledge, or I can transmute knowledge, which is kind of this release stuff.
Wait, back up. What was the?
So there's
Add
the use of
knowledge.
language is I can add knowledge, which includes frameworks, or tell you, hey, did you know that the Queen has COVID?
Okay.
That's adding knowledge, or it's querying knowledge. Did you know the Queen has COVID? And then there's transmuting knowledge, which is looking at something in the back and, again, apologizing for things, that, normal, like even, hey, I'm sorry things didn't work out, et cetera. But look at, and then related to this too, what I have on the system that I have is that rather than look at what's being said, what are the emotions underneath it? And then how can you frame this as them expressing their care for me? And so for you coming at me saying, hey, Gino, I've heard you're doing your thing again. This is a pattern that you have. You're expressing care for me because you would like to see me as a better communicator and communicating in the way that you understand communication. So that's where you're coming from. And if I say that, if I say things in that way and interpret it in that way and respond in that way, you're going to feel connection. But if I say, hey, Elijah, no, you're a horrible communicator too. Look at this, look at that and everything, then that's just going to exacerbate. It's just going to kick the energy up.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's really looking at how you're using language. And so you can transmute knowledge, which is what we're doing with the clearing. Now, the thing about this, again, and who you're dealing with is the consensus around the immediate environment. So when your computer dinged, that just told me this is the right conversation to have, because the universe is actually telling me this, because the timing of it, what are the chances of all of this, right? Yeah. And so it's knowing who you're dealing with and what you're dealing with. And what I mean by that is I have this 5-stage model. For a stage 1 person, the way you use language is, hey, have you read this book? Have you seen this film? Oh, you should learn this system. This will benefit you. It's having them catch up to consensus reality. But mainly what you do with language is, what is it you really want to do with your life? You move them to stage 2. Now, if you're dealing with a stage 2 person, and this is your life's work, then I'm not going to say, oh, Elijah, don't do that. Do this instead. Let's open a restaurant instead. It's keeping the rocket moving forward and keeping them open, because they're all in on this one thing. You want to keep them open because their subconscious is fucking with them. So you want to keep them moving forward and you want to keep them open. For a stage 3 person, I don't want to give you more stories. I'm trying to get you out of stories. It's really reconnecting them to the innate joy of being. Why are they not happy? What's the sadness going on? And why are you not connected to the innate joy of being? And being aware of breath, getting them back in their body, and then getting them to presence. For a stage 4 person, if you have 2 people that have let go of all stories, verbal communication is a very coarse form of engagement. Then the way you use language is, what are we going to do together? And does it happen or not? It's asking a collective question to the universe. Okay. And so what I was doing with you with the project, it was a collective question to the universe. It'll either happen or it won't. And whether it happens or not relates to us and our relationship with this.
Did you say there's 5 stages?
Yeah, the 5th stage are special abilities. That's the human potential. So if surreal shit can happen and it doesn't phase you at all, you can develop these abilities in a grounded way. And so part of use of language is knowing who are you dealing with.
Yes.
And what I've been working on with you is that most of the time I talk to you, you're tied into the stories of what's happening in the world of, COVID, the truckers, the government, the trees and all of this other stuff, which is wonderful and important. But it's all in this mental space. And what I mean by that is right now, I literally feel that all there is just, for me at least, all there is right now is just this room that I'm in. There's how my body feels, and there's what I know from thought. I can let go of all of this, and you have to let go of all of this and reconnect to the innate joy of being. And if you can connect to the innate joy of being and live from it, your whole relationship with reality changes. And so part of this, the point behind this is knowing where we're at. Thank you. Knowing where we're at. Let's see, I have to load in all the other backgrounds. Let's see. Oh, let me see. Thank you for these again, by the way. Let's see. Which one would these be? This would be this. This one? No, that's the.
There should be another one that has it at the top.
Yeah. I have to load them all into the library first. Yeah.
The third one I think is the best if you want to.
Oh, really? Which one is this?
Would be the third top title.
Virtual background plus video.
I think you're going to have some fun in the Zoom meetings with these things.
Maybe this one?
No, the next one.
This one?
I think so.
Yeah. So anyways, so it's knowing who you're dealing with, because you're going to use language differently depending on who the person you're dealing with is.
So in terms of the project, what's the output? Is it like a series of screens to distinguish what you're talking about?
And a training program.
And a training program.
Yeah.
In terms of, are you giving the training program or am I giving the training program?
Ideally, we deliver it online. So let me
you and I, or just you?
Ideally, something that's like a video or something where no person has to do it.
Okay, so it
could be you.
It's a video course.
Yeah,
or it could be both of us, right?
Well, no, because let me explain to you what I'm doing with Art Transcend. So Art Transcend is a program. I'd love to get you involved with this. In fact, I'd love to.
I think I'm already involved.
Well, so what it is, no, this is a new thing.
Okay.
And so what it is I'm working with artists, and I'm running artists through a program. There's a guy named Leonard Schlein. You've read about this. Have I told you about this?
No.
Okay. So a guy named Leonard Schlein wrote a book called Art and Physics. And what he does is he looks at the development of art, and he looks at the development of science, and he notices the parallels. So in the 1400s, the artist and the scientist were the same person. Think Leonardo da Vinci. Mm-hmm. And then what happened was as time moved on, the artists kind of advanced, and the scientists, there's parallels. So in the Renaissance period, in science, they were deconstructing things. And in art, you have Fauvism and Cubism. They're deconstructing color and form. Early 20th century, things get abstract. So you have Muriel and Kandinsky. And then psychology, you have, surrealism. And then you have, World War I, Expressionism. After World War II, you have pop art. And then in the 1980s, you have this quantum stuff, and you have like John Cage and Rothko and everything, and postmodern. And so it seems like there's a wavefront of consciousness going through, and the artists and the scientists are at the forefront. And so the premise, if you can take an artist, and if you can then shift their consciousness in a way, then the art they create will be more profound. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating a program. It's an education program. And what we're doing is there are 3 stages. So artists apply to this program. And then they go through these 3 stages. And so once they apply and once they're accepted, they come into the program, and then they go through the program. And the first part is all of the stuff that I'm sharing with you now. It's basically my life's work. So the 5 stages, levels, how we use language, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's basically giving them the framework for investigating space and time and consciousness. That's the first stage.
Okay.
The second stage is I have a bunch of these healers and mystics all around the world, and they basically work with them to resolve their mommy-daddy issues. So what is it that takes you out of the innate joy of being? And then how do you get away from the fragmentation and focus on the one thing you're here to do? And then the third stage is I'm building a network of these indigenous elders and traditions and medicine people all around the world from these different traditions. And what you would do is you would then go sit with these people for a couple weeks, and then they would do their number on you. And so this is kind of the global decentralized modern mystery school. Now, the whole point is that at each stage of this, what happens is after you complete a stage, you'd apply to the next stage. And we don't charge you any money.
Okay.
But at the conclusion of each stage, you create a piece of art that goes into a collection that collection then goes to backing a security token.
Okay.
And so as the people go through the program, the collection increases. And as the people that went through it become more famous, and we build a network of artists that have been through this program, then the art they create will be more profound.
It's a great idea.
And so what I'd like to do is I'd like to get you into this as well too. And I'm running you through all of this right now. And I'd love for you to consider taking this system that you have and then putting this into the collection, and I can pay you in these tokens and everything, which right now, and we can work out, right now I'm in the process of fundraising for this. I've got about 100,000 US or so.
Okay.
And right now, so the main projects I'm working on right now are heal.art and Shelley, and I've got a whole team working on that. There's Art Transcend, which is my baby right now. There's the Metatron project, which is basically people that have been through spiritual emergency awakening experiences. And then the last one I'm working on right now is, right now the title for it is meaningful.org.
Meaningful.org.
And what I'm doing right now is, so just to let you know, I've stepped down as program leader of the master's program.
Okay.
I'm no longer a program leader. And I'm retiring in 2 years. And so I'm setting up all of these, I'm doing things commercially right now. So I'm setting up all these commercial projects. And so what I've been told, and I'm kind of learning, is you have these operating companies, and your stake in these operating companies go into a holding company. And when you die, like a part of the assets from that, the money from that go to taking care of your family and loved ones. And then the rest usually go into a foundation that then goes to, and you have to find trustees and you set up a trust and everything. And then and you have to find people that are younger than you that have a similar vision that can execute and everything. And finding that is difficult. That's what I've been told. So I'm kind of setting that up. But as I set this up, what's happened is I'm looking at, once money is no longer an issue for people, the narratives that drive you relate to how you frame reality. And there are two axes. One is it about me or is it about us? That's the first axis. The second axis is the material world primary. Is the material world primary or is the inner world primary? That's the second axis. Now, if you look at that, that forms 4 quadrants. Now, if I'm material world is primary and it's about me, then the narratives that drive me are more money, sex, power, trying to live forever. Think all the politicians you know, people like Peter Thiel, Gordon Gekko in Wall Street, these narcissist people on Wall Street that don't give a fuck about anyone else, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Most people in large corporations, running large corporations, et cetera. It's about me, and material world is primary. Now, the second quadrant, if it's about us and material world is primary, then the narratives that drive me are philanthropy. Think, Peggy Dulaney, Peggy Rockefeller, or, the old Bill Gates or Melinda Gates, definitely, and everything. And so there, it's like, how do we cure, solve malaria, the water crisis, global warming, the environment, et cetera. Or it's the Star Trek fantasy. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, let's go colonize the moon, let's go to Mars. It's because the material world is primary and it's about us. And I'm doing this for humanity. Okay. Now, if it's inner world is primary and it's about me, then what drives me is to become a body of light. Think Ramana Maharshi, think the sadhus in India, think, the monks. So there were 300 million sperm, one made it. There are 7 billion people, a handful of people are going to make it. You guys do whatever you want. I'm just going to focus on moving to the next level. I'll see you guys later. The last quadrant is inner world is primary and it's about us. Now, if you're in this quadrant, basically what it is the inner world. It's the thing that's driving you is collective awakening. And so there it's, think the Bodhisattva vow, think Pierre Teilhard de Chardin's Omega Point, think John Lennon's Imagine there's no possessions, no hell. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Maybe someday you'll join us and the world will be as one. Now, for me and most of the people I hang out with, we're in that last quadrant of collective awakening. Now, if my objective, and I'm on the end game because I'm over midlife, and my objective is to wake up the whole planet, and if your objective is to wake up the whole planet, then anything I can do to help you is aligned with my best interest, because the more people you wake up, the less I have to worry about. Yeah.
Agreed.
So the idea here is to set up this group where you have people coming into this, and then so we kind of onboard people. And then the idea, and usually if money is no longer an issue and you still have this view, you've been through things where you've made everything, you've lost everything, and you know that there are bigger forces at work. You know that the universe has a plan, et cetera, et cetera. And so with that, the idea is to have a process of onboarding these people. And while we're alive, and since money is no longer an issue, we just help each other in whatever initiatives we're working on. And then as each of us die, all of our remaining assets go into a trust, a collective trust. And all the people that make a similar commitment are trustees of this trust. And so as more people die, this endowment grows. And then this collection of people then gets promoted and more people get in. And then ideally, it will kind of grow and grow and grow and grow and grow.
So essentially you want all these pieces put together in a sense
What do
where,
you mean?
well, you give me lots of different pieces.
Well, so those are just, I'm just sharing with you kind of the projects, the focus of my attention right now.
Okay.
The meaningful.org right now, there's related to this, there's another crazy project that's happening right now in UAE. But this one, I'm just peripherally, they're talking to me about, oh, this is a crazy project. I'll just throw this at you just to let you know about it. But there's a guy that bought an island outside of UAE, and he's buying like 5 other places, like earth, wind, fire, water, ether, or something like this. And he's setting up these places, and he's going to build these luxury resorts that are also like Hogwarts, like training centers for people kind of in this mystery school kind of way.
Huh.
And what he's looking at doing is he's looking at getting like 1,000 people, and he's looking at charging them $500,000 each. And then basically running them through a program to kind of wake them up and develop their gifts. And then with these 1,000 people and with $5 billion, you can do the math. The idea is to then just do good around the world.
It's a good idea.
Pretty crazy project, huh?
Well, with that, you can do things with that, right? I mean,
potentially.
and there's a lot of people who have kids, 500,000. I mean, they're spending that much on school anyway, right? Like,
oh, they're going to Mars or whatever, or going to space for like 10 minutes. That's like 500,000.
Yeah. Well, then what's your interaction with this? Are they just asking you to consult or something, or bring you?
Yeah. I'm talking to them about doing the whole training program.
Oh, wow. Well, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I don't know about you. I'm the same. Like for the rest of my life, I want to be dedicated to large projects that are doing good for the species, and I've got something which I think is quite valuable to add, right? So, I mean, to me, it's, I mean, we're being guided, right? We're being guided.
Well, I mean, So back to this. So a couple things. Number one is the use of language, the levels. So there's a matrix of levels, the role of language directs attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the ways in which you can use language of adding information, removing information, transmuting stuff. I can send you those slides.
Yeah, send me the slides. And I think I've got enough to start in terms of.
And so what I'd like, you
okay.
can talk to Nova about this. I need a statement of work.
Okay.
And then a statement of work, and then that Nova's written before. And Nova's done 2 of these already. And then what I can do is I can hire you. This grant ends at the end of June, but it's mainly online education. But the grant ends at the end of June. And what we're doing is we're creating kind of courseware stuff. And so I can pay you as a contract worker, 15,000 Hong Kong dollars, statement of work. And then as long as you deliver on that, and then I can hire you for like a month. And then when that work ends, I have to wait 2 months, and then I can hire you for another one.
Okay.
That's that project.
Okay.
Now, the other one is, and I'm using this for this as well too, is this is a piece of this bigger thing that I'm doing, which is this online education stuff to explain kind of the 5 levels, use of language, the hero's journey. And so that's the basic training that I have for this consciousness stuff.
So you want to bring in the hero's journey model too? Is that the main?
Well, and so for me, the main work that I do is the thing is the 5 stages. So when all there is to everything from is just physically around you, how your body feels, what you know from thought. When you're born, there is no symbolic consciousness. And so it's really, we have the theoretic framework around all this. So this is stuff that I've got a group here, and I can send you stuff, but it's that work, it's the language stuff, it's the 3 levels talk that I give. Do you know the 3 levels?
What you spoke about before?
Yeah, there is that, but then it ties into the metaphysical. And the hard thing is transitioning from an objective consensus reality to the mystical.
Yeah.
And so there, it's just listening to the universe as delta T approaches 0, as you kind of, as the time slices get smaller and smaller. So as I mentioned, at the second level, all there is this, and then your computer dinged. The way I would interpret that is that's kind of the universe participating in this conversation. And I take that seriously.
Oh, I mean, I've got a lot of notes, and I've got, this video, which I can watch again. So I've got enough to start on my end.
Well, yeah. So there's the language stuff, the 3 levels stuff and everything of framing of reality. And then there's the hero's journey, which is kind of the monomyth. And then looking at things not only literally, but in an archetypal way. We had another fun card game that I was looking at designing. You could be a fun partner for this. And what we're looking at is, as a corporate training tool of taking the archetypal elements, the ancient mystagogue, the trickster, the enemy, the shapeshifter, all of the archetypal elements, and training them in a corporate way. And then in a corporate environment, having the people, their bosses, who they report to, and their friends and everything. And then what role are they playing in this? So literally right now you're acting kind of in this is in my project right now, in what we're talking about, you're kind of acting as Samwise to my Frodo, or you're like Han Solo to my Luke, or Dory to my Nemo, whatever you want. Whatever thing.
Each of those are very different.
Well, no, they're the same archetypal.
Are they?
They're different, but in an archetypal sense, they're kind of the same.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is,
well, the co-adventurer kind of thing, the stalty friend, just Sam and Han Solo seem a bit different, but
here, this is, I usually show this slide when I explain this.
yeah, that's a good slide.
Yeah. And so the whole point behind this is that, for me at least, is we look at things movie-wise, but that's how your brain frames things as well too.
Yeah.
And so part of it is, where are you in the monomyth? And these people that are showing up, you can look at them literally as, okay, you're Elijah, but right now I'm in the stage. So when we do things, like even when I ask you to do something, there's a call to action card, right? So I'm playing the call to action. No, yeah. I'm too busy right now. Refuse it. Oh, okay, no, I'll do it. Okay, no, but we have to raise the funding first. And there's the threshold guardian. And okay, we got the funding now. Now the road to trials. Oh shit, the printer is not working, or whatever. It's the road to trials. And fuck, I can't do this. Oh, I give up. There's the apotheosis moment, and then oh, this shows up and everything, and then oh, I can do this, and then return journey. And so it's understanding that path. And as you engage people, where are we in the cycle? And then who is this person representing? So I don't take it personally. It's like, oh, man, this guy didn't fund us. He's a fucking asshole. I'm never going to work with him again. It's like, no, I'm encountering the threshold guardian. He's just playing the role of the threshold guardian. And so the idea here is that once you have people trained on the archetypal elements, then you go to your who you report to, who are your coworkers, what role are they playing in your journey? And so keeping track of the different projects in this way and the people that show up in this way is then helpful for knowing where you're at in what you're trying to do and how things are going to play out.
Well, it definitely makes it a lot more interesting than normal corporate mundane languaging.
Well, but this is how you're looking at things. It's like, now, if I think you're the ancient mystagogue and you think I'm the trickster, or you think I'm the enemy, then we have an alignment mismatch.
Yeah.
And so any communication is not going to work there, right?
Very much.
But if we know that, okay, we're doing this together, you're Sam, or who am I? I'm Gandalf, Saruman,
Hopefully, yeah.
Well, first of all, which mythology which mask do you want to language reference do you want to play in? And then the key thing is that then is the relationship set properly? Are the expectations of the relationship set properly?
Right. And I think with our two bodies work coming together. You want to keep going?
So if I'm the ancient, if you're a female and you think I'm the ancient mystagogue and I think you're the princess, then we're going to have a serious problem later on down the line.
Right? The kitchen's going to get kind of small.
Well, I mean, that's how all this Hollywood stuff happens, right? Oh, you're the mentor and everything. Oh, but hey, sleep with you. What do you mean? And so knowing the roles and playing your role properly in the narrative is important.
Yes. Yes.
And so that's another tool, just deck, explaining. And then the idea is, here are the pictures of the people that you work for and that report to you and everything. And then what role are they playing within the context?
Once you figure that out, now you ingest them.
Yeah.
Because I mean, to me, what, the entry into a system and the exit to a system and the onboarding and finding out who someone is and knowing where they're going to fit and how there's going to be communication, that's huge. It's the basis of all systems interaction. So you're hitting the proverbial nail on the head of where the real problems exist around when do I come in and who's coming in and how they communicate, whether they get along and whether they understand who they are, whether they identify who they are, whether they can actually help or whether they can hurt the whole system or idea or project.
And the little bit that's different from your thing right now is what you've got is you're looking at everyone as equals, and then we're coming in this together and we treat everyone the same in a kind of a communal kind of way. I
wouldn't say that.
Well, the system that you have is it creates a container that allows anybody to come in with all of this stuff.
No, I mean, to me, it's the same thing in terms of you're, let's say, creating a shared knowledge community of 144 people. You'd be very careful about who you let in. Like that's like the most important thing.
Oh, okay, but I'm just saying the card decks that you have and everything. And
okay.
In engagement, like even like now, you're like, hey, Gino, you're lecturing me again. Hey, I don't feel a connection. I'd like to feel a connection. That's how we started this conversation.
Right. Well, again, like you say, you have to first you have to see who you're talking with, and then you have to find out where the connection point is, which project or which, right? I mean, there's a lot of ways you and I could interact, right? Where each could be of service to the other, or each could help the other in marketing, or each could help the other in whatever. I mean, so it's finding, like here we have one project. You're saying, okay, this is what I want. And I'm saying, okay, I agree, I'll do that.
And so with that, there are two things. One is, for me at least, is looking at how to help you out financially and everything. That's one. That's why, hey, if you do this work, you're a great person at this and I can pay you this. The other is bringing these work out to the masses. And then that's where for me, at least, if you can consider all the work that you do, I don't know how to raise funding and all of this, and then building a team for all of this. But if we put this together as a system that we can throw as NFTs into Art Transcend, and as I raise funding there, figure out a role for you within Art Transcend to run part of the training program or something like that, that's something I'm completely open to. I'd love to have you kind of on board for something like that. But so there in a it's both doing our life work, but we're doing this in a transactional situation. And I have to, and part of the thing that I'm trying to get out of, but I'm doing this right now because is ideally, well, and this is help me out with this. But ideally, if you didn't have to worry about money and you could fund your own stuff, we could work kind of like, I'm like, hey, I don't have to worry. But now I'm thinking, how do I get, how do we structure this in a way that, and so.
Well, even if you look at what I just did, I mean, I sensed a need, or intuition told me something, right? In terms of you and your work and your projects. And I spent, quite a bit of time making all these things for you. I could have said, it's going to cost you, hey, I got this great idea. It's going to cost you this much money, right? I could have. Then you might go, well, I don't know if I want it. And then, I don't have much money, or I don't have the budget, or maybe, what are you talking about? But, it becomes this thing that is a hassle to me in a certain. So in my mind, I go, okay, I made it. I'm just going to make this thing. I'm going to send it off. I'm not even going to say anything, in terms of, I just want to see your reaction. If you don't like it, then it's useless. But if you like it, then it may be useful. Then to me, I'm demonstrating value. I'm demonstrating you're using something that usually you might go out. Like, let's say you went to a marketing firm and said, okay, I want some Zoom backgrounds and I want some titles for my projects. They might come back and go, okay, sure. That's going to cost $50,000, $10,000 per project. Each one is going to cost you this, 5,000 for that, 5,000 for that, right? That's business. That's business at a higher level where they have a big budget. They hire a marketing company to do shit like that, right? I mean, that's what happens. They create one font, one logo. They charge a huge amount of money. And then all of a sudden, that's, to me, if I give you something of value, if you get something from that, you're right. It doesn't happen in the normal world. People don't generally give gifts first. And so then you might go, well, I mean, Elijah's being pretty generous, or he's thinking of me. He's actually thinking of what my things are, and he's done something for me without me even asking that is actually useful that I'm going to use. Then you may go at some point, well, hey, I know this guy who needs the same thing, and maybe he'll pay Elijah 50 grand for it. I can't, but he'll pay. So I'll tell my friend, and then Elijah can do it for this guy and make a lot of money or whatever, right? You've got 1,000 ways you could help me. It may take money, it may not. But if we have a generosity of spirit towards one another, and we have a belief in what you're saying in terms of this we-ness of the collective awakening, then to me, spirit works through us and allows huge gifts of spirit to be given. I'd rather just give. I don't want to charge anyone anything. Most of the things I give are gifts, and that's why I have no money, because I work with people who have no money, and I'm either counseling or supporting or giving because I'm not charging, because I've been living with this idea that I don't want to charge people I love for the things that I'm doing. Right. So if we're building a new paradigm, to me, it should be built upon generosity. At some point, I know if I sell 1 million card sets, I don't got to worry about freaking money. I know I have something of huge value. I've just been, it's just to get to the point where your infrastructure is big enough so you can get the money machine going. That just takes a lot of detailed work I'm not good at.
And so I hear that. And so now what I'm looking at, and what I do is I work at towards debugging people to get them kind of aligned in this way. Right. And so part of the language thing, and then part of the eye contact and presence and kind of speaking from this, and, noticing your triggers and all of this is stuff that I normally do with entrepreneurs and everything. And there's a whole nother experiential piece of, just this presence versus thought. And if I talk to you like this feels a certain way, but. Oh, wow. Actually, as I move into stillness, your background gets really trippy as well too. It's really psychedelic. But if I speak to you from here, this feels different. So right now, so for this stuff that you have right now for this, so actually, let's take a step back. So right now, so the stuff that you have right so the statement of work thing you understand, right?
The what? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. The steam of work?
Statement of work.
Oh, statement of work. Okay.
You can talk to Nova about that.
Okay. So it's like listed deliverables?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you essentially said you want an online course.
Well, just kind of the what you do, just in terms of a gamified graphic of illustrating how we use language to communicate. So there's the my stuff that I kind of brought in, but I'd love to take a look at the stuff that I bring in and the stuff that you have to kind of synthesize it in a way, you know, for the corporates and everything.
Okay.
So that's one thing. The other thing right now is art transcend. And so for that, we're working with artists, but I'd love to have you as part of the training program with this new version of language communication. Especially
to be on the trainers part of when the artist
trainers part, there are two aspects. One is at the trainers part, and then I need to get a sense of your remuneration for it as well too. And you know, there's cash tokens, but we're a startup with this. And then the second thing would be for you to consider taking a piece of whatever you'd like to do as the freebie and putting that into our collection as, because what I'm trying to do right now is with Art Transcend is that art has a role in society. Art is not therapy. Art is not persuasion, like advertising and everything. Art is not speculation, but art has the possibility to heal and to transform. Art has the potential to heal and to transform. And so what we're trying to do is build a collection of exemplary things that could be mass disseminated. And so in the early days, the people that created art, so NFTs and digital art is just a digital version of mass media. Mass media is just industrialized art. And if you take art back to its origins, from the shaman around the fire to the cave paintings to Stonehenge and early architecture, it's to help you understand, who are you, why are you here, and what is this? And it's really created by the people that have had these awakening experiences. So we're trying to get art back to its original role of what, and so with this, what we're doing is we're building a collection of exemplary art. And so people go through the program, they create a piece of art, and then it goes into this collection. And then they apply to the second stage. And in the second stage, I have these healers and mystics, and I can introduce some of them to you. They're also teaching in this program, and you can meet with some of them, and then help resolve mommy daddy issues, etc. And then that kind of gets to this second thing. And then they create another piece of art that goes into this collection. And then the third part then is they apply. And then I have these voodoo people in Benin, these Neidan people in China, these people in South America for plant med. So I have all of these different places. So you would go and they would do their number on you. And the first stage is to prepare you for the second stage. And the first and second stages are to prepare you for the third stage. And so as we do this, and then what we're also doing is at like Art Basel and all these big cultural events, we'll have like dinners and gatherings among the artists that we have and the teachers and everything. So it'll be this kind of fun community that continues to grow as a club.
Okay. So I see how that project comes into it. Okay, so I think I've got enough to do. You're talking about statement of work and maybe get started on the work. I got to go clean the kitchen, or I'm going to get in trouble because my partner's
okay,
great.
Thanks a lot. And
Great
then
to
this
see
is all
you.
wonderful. The last thing is for this, what have you done with this stuff now as YouTube or as Zoom backgrounds? Do you have like a system where you can pull these things in very quickly and stuff? Are you doing patents or trademarks or anything like that?
No. I'm just right now, I'm just playing with I just see these are great to me. Like Pete, like this, look at our conversation. Our conversation is so much more aesthetically beautiful because you're not sitting on a couch and doing your moves from the couch. Now you're doing your moves from, anyway, I gotta go.
And then having one person that can frame all of this is really wonderful too. There's value to that. All right, I'll see you. Take care.
Okay, see you, brother.
Bye.